if it's the game in Denver, it might be the biggest game because they haven't played a home playoff game in so long. So that's fair. Listen, are the Chiefs in trouble in Denver? No. In modern NFL history, no one, not even Brady over Buffalo, no one has owned a singular opponent the way Patrick has owned the Broncos.
Yeah.
We can show you the record, and he's 13-1. So the most recent on that list is Steve Young, other than Patrick. So it's all last century. Otto Graham's a monster.
He had like 7 rings.
No, he's a monster. Terry Bradshaw was making the GOAT case for Otto Graham recently. And Patrick started his career as a rookie with a win over Denver. He had one of his first national highlights, his first year starting, the left-handed pass on Monday Night Football against Denver. Now, to be fair, while his record is the best of any opponent, his stats are not. And that dates back to when Vic Fangio was the DC there, and the Chiefs would always win, but it'd give Patrick a little bit of trouble. The off a bye, of course, helps. But what I think helps even more is all that nonsense Sean Payton talked last year about how we really liked our matchup in round 2, which would have been Kansas City. And the fact that the Chiefs, this is also one of the biggest regular season games Patrick's ever played in. Because they don't typically play in really meaningful. This is why I said he's never lost a meaningful regular season game, because they haven't played many, and
particularly this late.
Right, this late in the year. Right, early in the year, you don't know where you're going to be, and so I think you have a motivated, mostly healthy, locked-in Chiefs team, and a Denver team that no matter what they try to spin, cannot possibly feel good about the performance the last time they were out there. And so, yeah, I think I don't think the Chiefs are in trouble.
Let's have a frank and detailed discussion about some of the narratives currently swirling around the NFL, specifically those concerning the Kansas City Chiefs and their dominance, particularly over the Denver Broncos. There are several talking points being presented as irrefutable truths that, upon closer examination, simply don't hold up to logical scrutiny. I want to break these down piece by piece because I believe it's crucial to challenge the echo chamber and introduce some much-needed context into the conversation. First and foremost, let's address a statement I've heard recently that is, quite simply, factually incorrect. The claim that Patrick Mahomes has never lost a meaningful game in the regular season. This is blatantly false. To make such an assertion, one has to engage in a bizarre and selective definition of meaningful. Was the game against the Buffalo Bills just a few weeks ago not meaningful? Both teams are perennial AFC powerhouses, and that game had significant implications for conference standings and playoff seeding. To dismiss a loss in a high-stakes head-to-head clash between Super Bowl contenders as not meaningful is an intellectually dishonest way to prop up a narrative. That single example alone dismantles the entire argument. The NFL season is a 17-game grind where every contest carries weight, especially for a team with championship aspirations from day one. To retroactively scrub certain losses from the record because they don't fit a convenient storyline is a practice that should have no place in serious analysis. This leads me to another frequently cited point: the Chiefs' impressive record against the Denver Broncos since Mahomes became the starter. On the surface, the win-loss tally looks dominant, and statistically, it is. However, celebrating this without the crucial context of what has been happening in Denver during that same period is like taking a victory lap for winning a race against an opponent who started with a broken leg. The Broncos, since Mahomes entered the league, have been a model of instability. They have cycled through a revolving door of quarterbacks and head coaches, never establishing a consistent identity or a franchise cornerstone to build around. Even during the Vic Fangio era, which some point to as a period of defensive competence, the quarterback situation was in a constant state of flux and was rarely, if ever, elite. To trumpet Mahomes' success against this specific version of the Broncos as some monumental achievement feels disingenuous. It's the equivalent of an adult boasting about their winning record in a game of one-on-one basketball against a group of middle schoolers. Yes, you are taller, stronger, and more experienced. You should win. The outcome isn't a testament to your unparalleled skill as much as it is a reflection of a massive mismatch. Broncos fans themselves are the first to acknowledge the tumultuous state of their franchise over these past several years. To use this lopsided rivalry as a primary cudgel to prove Mahomes' greatness is, frankly, bizarre. It focuses on a hollow statistic while ignoring the chaotic reality that made that statistic possible. Now, let's talk about the upcoming game between these two teams. There's a particular phrase that gets thrown around in these situations that I have a genuine, deep-seated issue with: the notion that this is the Broncos' Super Bowl. This kind of statement is not just lazy analysis. I find it to be infantilizing and, honestly, a little gross. It's a rhetorical device used to diminish the opponent's motivation and the genuine stakes of a divisional game. For the Denver Broncos, this isn't some abstract, once-in-a-lifetime event. This is an incredibly important game because the AFC West Division title is potentially on the line. It's about establishing themselves as a legitimate force within their own division. It's about building a winning culture and proving they can perform under pressure against the league's best teams in their own stadium. To frame this as their Super Bowl is to suggest that their aspirations are small and their season's success hinges on this single outing, which is patently untrue and disrespectful to the players and coaches who are working to build something sustainable. I will admit I used this phrase recently in a different context, to describe the Green Bay Packers' defensive intensity against the Philadelphia Eagles. But I used it as a positive, descriptive term for their focus and energy, not as a negative, dismissive one. The way it's often deployed, however, is to suggest that the favored team, in this case the Chiefs, doesn't have the same emotional investment, which is absurd. The Chiefs needed to win against the Raiders last year on Christmas Day to secure their playoff positioning, and they lost. Was that game not meaningful to them? Of course it was. The idea that a professional athlete or coach would ever step onto a field without a burning desire to win, regardless of the opponent, is a fiction created to explain away unexpected losses. This brings us to the current state of both teams. I am not here to make the bold proclamation that the Chiefs are in imminent trouble in Denver. That is not my argument. The Broncos will need to play a near-flawless game to secure a victory. However, the context surrounding this matchup is far more interesting than many are acknowledging. When the Chiefs suffered losses earlier this season to teams like the Chargers and Eagles, a common refrain was that they were missing key players like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. This is a valid point. Injuries impact performance. But now, the shoe is on the other foot. The Broncos are entering this crucial divisional clash significantly banged up. They are missing their starting running back, a key wide receiver, and arguably their most important defensive player. The quantity and quality of players the Broncos are missing are, by any objective measure, comparable to, if not greater than, what the Chiefs were dealing with in their losses. Yet the narrative hasn't adjusted. If the Broncos lose, it will be framed as the inevitable outcome of Mahomes' dominance. But if they win, will the same allowances be made? Will it be understood that Denver was playing with a depleted roster, or will the victory be dismissed as a fluke? This is a telling double standard. Furthermore, the Chiefs are coming off their bye week, which provides a massive and, in my opinion, unfair advantage when playing a division rival. They have had 2 weeks to rest, self-scout, and prepare specifically for the Broncos. For a team that already knows each other so well, this extra preparation time is a significant edge. The margins in the NFL are razor thin, and this scheduling quirk can easily tip the scales. If the Broncos, despite their injury woes and facing a well-rested Chiefs team, can somehow find a way to win, it would be a profoundly impressive victory. It would be a testament not to luck, but to exceptional coaching and game planning from Sean Payton and his staff. It would mean they had a specific, effective strategy and that their players executed it perfectly under adverse conditions. This leads me to my final point of contention: the manufactured outrage over a coach expressing confidence in his team. The sheer theatrics and pearl-clutching that occurred because Sean Payton said he liked his team's matchup against the Chiefs is utterly ridiculous. How dare a head coach believe in his players? How dare he feel good about a team that took the Chiefs to the wire in Arrowhead earlier this season, losing only on a last-second blocked field goal? This narrative that any expression of confidence from an opponent is a personal insult to Patrick Mahomes is exhausting. It creates a victim complex that is entirely unwarranted. Mahomes is a first-ballot Hall of Famer and arguably the best quarterback in the world. He does not need to be shielded from a rival coach's bullish comments. The record between these two teams since Sean Payton arrived tells a more nuanced story than the overall Mahomes-era stat. The games have become closer and more competitive. This shouldn't be a surprise. Coaching matters. Roster construction matters. Having a competent quarterback in Bo Nix matters. To ignore this progression and instead cling to the overall lopsided record, which includes games against far inferior Broncos teams, is to ignore the evolving nature of the NFL. It's like judging a current fighter based on his record against a much younger, less experienced version of his opponent. In conclusion, my goal here is not to hate on the Kansas City Chiefs, who are a phenomenal organization. It is to push back against the lazy, context-deficient narratives that so often dominate sports discourse. We can acknowledge Mahomes' generational talent without resorting to false statements or celebrating hollow victories. We can analyze a game's stakes without demeaning one of the participants. And we can certainly expect more from our analysis than recycled cliches and manufactured drama. The truth is almost always more complex and more interesting than the headline. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on all of this. Do you believe the Chiefs' record against the Broncos is a true measure of dominance, or does it lack critical context? How do you view the impact of injuries and the bye week on this upcoming matchup? Let me know your detailed opinions in the comments below. I read every single one, and whether you agree with me or think I'm completely off base, I value the discussion. Let's dive into the nuances, let's have a spirited debate, and most importantly, let's share our passion for this incredibly complex sport. If you appreciate this kind of in-depth, critical look at the stories that shape the NFL, please consider subscribing. We're building a community here that values thoughtful conversation over easy sound bites. I want to create a space where we can all connect and engage with the game on a deeper level. We're well on our way, and I'd be thrilled to have you join us. Also, if you found this perspective valuable, please give the video a thumbs up. It genuinely helps us reach more fans who enjoy substantive football talk. Thank you so much for your time and engagement. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you.